So I had this weird, powerful thing happen during a correction yesterday, and wanted to share. I'm not sure why it happened or if this is normal. So I was writing out my correction as per usual, and this one was all about fear and feeling defective, and it was my child, which is totally different for me. I've only done a couple corrections, one in Austin and then one the other day, and both of those were my teen. So I finished writing the correction and then get to like the visualization part where you're talking to your child. And as soon as I picture the child, I get this like huge surge of emotion rushing through my body. And it felt like a lot of pain and immediately brought tears to my eyes. It was weird. I was not expecting it. And I was super surprised that it was happening and just kind of like let the image of my child fade away. And then the strong emotions faded away too. And so then I visualized the child again, and the same exact thing happened. And it just kept happening kind of like three times in a row. And I was finally like, whatever, I just have to, kind of do this. And I really didn't know what was going on, and couldn't get through the correction like without crying, but I don't even know why. And so then after I get through the correction, and then after I feel, a lot of release. Fear is one of those emotions I really like never let myself feel. I always try to be fearless in sports, life, pretty much all the above, which is kind of stupid when you think about it, but true. And yeah, so it's just a really kind of weird and powerful experience.
Well, and it's not stupid to be defended against fear. Like that's your teen's job. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
normal thing, but it is good to hear you say that, like, yeah, it's probably not the best to have to kind of always push that aside.
Yeah.
But I want you to know, like, what happened with your child is actually really normal, and it's actually quite common in this room. This is my office. It's actually quite common here. But basically, what happened is that you started this relationship with your child, and then whenever you saw him, any you have a lot of residual pain. Like there's just pain that hasn't been acknowledged or processed in like a more conscious way. And so whenever you see that little boy in that face, and it's okay if feelings are coming up for you now because we're talking about it, so just let it happen if it happens. But whenever you see that face or you see that little guy, the basically it's like pain release. And so everything that's like in there that's kind of bottled up in him and through him and by him starts coming out. And then you have other feelings in there too. There's like love feelings, and it's also like a form of, I call it like a self-love type combo. So you have like love, fear, and pain, and they're all wrapped together. Because remember, feelings usually travel in threes anyway. But you have, which I don't know if I've told you guys that, so I shouldn't say remember, but they do travel in groups of three typically. So it's totally normal. It's you connecting and building that relationship with him now. So does it make sense that it's normal and that it is like a self-love type experience, and it's nothing to be alarmed at. It's just that if you have not really experienced feelings like that before, or a depth of emotion like that, and allowed it to run its course, it's a little overwhelming. And it makes sense to me that you'd be like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna let this fade out. I don't want to, this is like a little weird and pretty intense. But then what's cool is that like you went back and you were like, okay, I'm gonna try to ride this out. I'm gonna like see what happens, because nothing bad can happen to you in doing what, it's a natural process. And remember I taught you about the effective range ability to feel. And basically, Mike, what's occurred is through your intro is that it widened. And so now you have this access. So it may surprise you how much access you have. And so you just want to roll with it. And you can always talk to them and soothe them. And also you can always back off. Like you're in charge of what you do and don't do. The thing is whenever you see them, you may have that happen for a little while. And then sometimes with clients, like that doesn't happen anymore. And then like a year later, I'll be relaxing them or having them look at their child, maybe even ask the child a question, which is some other, and then they'll see that little boy or girl and then they'll start crying then. So you're attending to him and he's showing you what it is that he needs attention around. So just like soothe him about it. Like it's okay that he's upset. You're not trying to get rid of the pain or say that it's not okay. Just kind of let it ride if you can.
Yeah. So, the other correction that I sent you guys was like, my relationship between me and my fiance and some of
Yeah.
the communication things. So I felt release there. probably the biggest impact is just in my work life, like just way more work-life balance. I'm working like 30 to 40% less than I was before, but just getting the same amount done. So that's been really nice.
Dude,
Wow.
that's super exciting. You know?
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I would say that it is. And it fits, it makes sense. You know, like what's interesting about this work in particular and what you guys did is that you kind of keep cooking. Like it kind of like you get this initial jolt, if you will, or kind of this initial stuff. And then you know, it makes change. So then some mechanisms have changed, and then basically you're kind of experiencing, and you're also moving it along. I want to point out too, you're like moving those changes along as well. You know, so that's really good. And I think the more that you do in whatever style you're doing that's working for you, you should continue to do that. But I'm super excited, like super excited that you got enough change that you're noticing these results, and you have a way to work with yourself.
Yeah. It's not just me. Other people have mentioned things to me too, which has been kind of cool to hear. So
yeah, that's really exciting.
What type of stuff have they said to you?
Like my fiance specifically, just noticing way more confident, especially in like business, way more work-life balance. We're spending way more time together, all that kind of stuff.
This is great. This is awesome. I mean, that's like what, you know, I think that's what everyone's hoping for when they go do something like this, even though they don't even know what they're getting into. It's kind of like, I'm really excited to hear that. And you can accelerate that through additional work. You can also accelerate it through just working with yourself. I mean, there's a lot of, you can go pretty much anywhere you want to go from there. I mean, basically you have a shift in your baseline. And so now you can kind of decide, how do I want to target this? What do I want to do with it to, you know, get going? But that's really cool, Mike. I'm really, really happy about it.
Especially because you know at least a little bit of where I was before from our first conversation.
I know where you were just from sitting with you. So I mean, I definitely see the changes, and you can go wherever you want from here. I mean, don't forget, like, and it sounds like bullshit, but the thing is the changes are permanent. You know, and that's why I tell people, especially in the private work, like make sure that you want to make a change, because you're going to be different and you can't go back. People don't typically want to go back. But I'm just, you know, it makes me really excited. So do you guys have any, you know, the rest of you that are here, this call is not really about me, frankly. Do you guys have anything that you want to say to Mike? Is there any, not that you have to, but I'm just saying, like, feel free to like jump in if you relate, or if you want to say something, please do so.
I mean, I think it's great. Like just hearing Mike talk, like puts a smile on my face and kind of like boosts me a little bit. So there's probably, you know, this feedback loop going on, and a lot of things you were saying, Mike, I relate to. I'm just happy to hear that I'm not alone.
Nice.
Me too.